the shore, pirates in the port of paradise. Hey, ruined mariners marinated, swinging one north with their heads and fingers sore. Viscera and gore in paradise. Pirates in the bay, taking what they may, yarn and gold aboard what decorates indoors, taking home decor. Please not a word more, it's the pirates of paradise! Ah! Ah!
Thank you, Craig.
Truncated cone, a mirrored truncated cone,
Yeah,
$700.
$700. Find it in the Pirates of Paradise Redbubble.
Yeah, buy our merch. Buy our merch. We're t-shirt salesmen. Yo.
People hey, listeners, when you start listening, you're gonna have to buy our merch.
Oh yeah. Hey, if you're listening from this point onward, you're gonna have to stick a quarter in this asshole. I don't know.
We'll do it. We're not scared. We'll start a Patreon. Don't make us fucking do it.
Welcome back. I'm John.
I'm Quara'e, and I am temporarily locked out of my laptop. Oh, it's the Pirates of Paradise podcast.
We were talking about Kanye's Rick and Morty shit because it just came into my radar, and I just found out that Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland gave him an episode, and that is baller. Like, I will 100% watch it because it's gonna be some crazy shit.
Oh, well, most likely.
They all do, like, do you think they're gonna workshop it at all, or they're just gonna let him go, I'm a genius. I'm a genius. I don't know why he's Mike Tyson, but he kind of sounds like that anyways, so.
You know what? If, like, Mike Tyson didn't have a lisp, like... Yeah, definitely. Actually, a little bit, for sure. Yeah. I don't know. I think it would be, like, I'm trying to imagine what the format of that episode would even be, right? Because because whether or not Kanye actually thinks this, he's, like, the character that Kanye performs in the public is someone who believes that they are the best person to ever live, and that kind of clashes against the whole thing of their main character, who is also that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd be curious as to how that episode goes.
Mm-hmm. But, like, I don't know. Because they all do, like, they all really like to throw in some trippy shit. Like, Kanye has, like, a whole thing on the Ye project where the hook is just, like, tweaking on that 2CB, yeah. This is why your bitches fuck with me, yeah. But then, like, Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland have, like, talked about their psychedelic experiences and stuff, but then they also have, like, I forget, the Whirly Durly experiment, I think it is, where they, like, or the Whirly Durly something.
I think it's like
experiment?
Conspiracy. It might be the Whirly Durly.
It is Conspiracy. Yeah. It's Conspiracy. But where that one dude, like Blovius Thrax or whatever his name is, he
spaceman name.
Yeah, he they like go through like a time warp of some kind, and then everything just like melts together, and they like experience like death, rebirth, and like then at the end they're all just like drooling, and Rick just fucking shoots him right in the head, I think.
Oh yeah. No, he kills him. Rick is like, oh no, man, I thought that was really, really funny actually. Like the idea that after communing with someone's spirit, like using like what am I trying to say? Like a transcendent communal like spiritual experience to distract someone from the fact that they were going to kill you, so you could gain the upper hand to kill them.
Yeah, you're like, oh no, it was a side effect. I think that's also really funny, because like a lot of people, there's this thing called ego death that people talk about with like psychedelics, and I don't know if it actually exists, because like
say what you're gonna say.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, the only person I ever heard reference ego death was this dude named Jake, and he's a piece of shit. So
yeah. Oh, okay. In your personal life, yeah. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Fuck that dude.
Hey,
yeah.
Hashtag fuck Jake. His ego isn't dead to me. That's our new T-shirt.
Oh,
Buy it on
man.
redbubble.com/fuck Jake.
Oh,
But
man.
he this Jake kid, he's a real piece. I don't know. I don't know him at all. It might be just fine.
He's a bad dishwasher, and once because of him, I was at my job until 2 a.m.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Well,
But
it was
also,
like
you got
140 something.
more money.
That's
More
true,
money.
but like I cut up my hands real bad just doing
Oh, that's a
dishes like a
bummer.
madman.
That's a
Yeah,
bummer.
yeah.
I
Fuck
realized
you.
yesterday that I drop a lot of things all the time,
How do
and
you
I've like always been like a little clumsy, like.
mean?
But as far as like dropping dishes when I'm washing them, just holding like a water bottle and dropping it in public. Uh,
Interesting.
I got a taco yesterday. I didn't drop my taco, thank God. I got a Yalla taco.
Ooh.
We're sponsored by Yalla.
Shout out to Yellow Taco for when you need tacos at not a lot of money.
It is not a lot of money. It was like $3 or something for like it was just a tortilla, but then they just threw like a bunch of beef and shit on it. But all the toppings fell out of it because it was a tiny ass piece of taco, like taco bread, whatever it's called.
Tortilla.
Yeah, taco bread.
That's a t-shirt. That's a t-shirt for sure.
But let's get this taco bread.
Let's get this taco.
But I got a dang old handful of the guts of the taco after I ate the taco because I really wanted to. Oh, my diet's weird, but like I really wanted to eat that. Like when I say diet, I don't mean like I'm on a diet. I mean like what I
Just what
consume.
you eat. Yeah.
Like the other day, I went on like a dang old hike, and I then made a pit stop at a local grocer and got let me think. It was a pack of or 2 packs of Seltzer's Lebanon Bologna or bologna if you want to say it in a dumb way. Is that the proper way to say bologna? Is like
I have no
bologna?
idea.
I think it's bologna,
I think it might be.
but like I think
I
bologna
think it is.
bologna
Bologna
sounds
is
way
definitely
better.
more fun to say. Yeah.
It's way more fun to say, and it doesn't like bologna because like people say bologna like horse shit, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like in that it is a artificial meat or not artificial, but like it's a made
Processed?
meat. Yeah, like
Yeah. It's a
even if
custom meat.
even if the process is just taking other meat, grinding it up like in a little like home meat grinder and
Yeah,
like
and
making
then
your own sausage or something,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Like it's a manufactured meat product.
Mm-hmm.
Um I still fucking dig it though. It's so good. Seltzer's Lebanon Bologna. Fuck yeah, dude, all day long. So I ate like 2 of the smaller packs of that. Um, and then I got a jar of pickles and a kombucha. And so I sat outside this local grocer, uh, regional grocer, and and just ate Lebanon Bologna and drank
Without
some.
your hands.
Yeah, drank a little. I did eat it without my hands. My hands were temporarily in a different universe. What Cora is referring to is the fact that I dipped my hands in a dirty, dirty pond. And when I say a dirty, dirty pond, I don't mean a pond and that ponds are dirty, dirty. I mean there was no life in this pond except for the bugs skipping across the surface. And I feel like if you had I believe what I said is if you somehow manage to like poke them
Like
under the water's surface,
with a
like Mr.
chopstick.
Miyagi with a chopstick,
Yeah.
they would die instantly. Not like if they didn't die from the force of you pushing them under, and like they aren't dying from like lack of oxygen. Even once they come back up, they're gonna be coated in a layer of grime, so fucking filthy that they won't be able to breathe like the animals that died in the BP oil spill. Just a thick layer of some dog shit on them.
They'll die very quickly, and they'll be suffering the entire time. It'll be like
Yeah, you're basically
like,
gonna make that bug into a cancer, like a late stage cancer patient that's not gone through treatment.
oh yeah. You're essentially Agent Oranging them.
Oh,
sure.
for sure. Have I talked to you about how like my grandpa maybe, or like yeah, on my mom's side, my grandpa might have died from Agent Orange?
I don't think so.
Oh, he was in Vietnam and he was like a pilot and he died of cancer. He also smoked cigarettes, but
So
I don't know if he came into contact with Agent Orange at any point because all the people who like all the pilots who were like dropping Agent Orange on like Vietnamese like forests and stuff,
Yeah. yeah.
those those local those local tree circles or whatever. I don't know.
Like the whole
Yeah. But just giving that forest a little drip drip. Uh
Ooh,
they all got cancer. So I don't know if that was related or if it was just coincidental.
interesting. What was Agent Orange even made out of outside of just death and hurt feelings or something like that? Like, what was in it?
You could probably Google it. You think that there was like a label on the side? I'm sure it's a patented formula of some kind, but
Oh, for
it's
sure.
probably Roundup, basically. Like large amounts of Roundup. Like a more
Herbicide and
concentrated
defoliant
Roundup.
chemical. Okay, it's an equal part. It's an equal mixture of two herbicides. 2,4,5-T and 2,4-D. Okay. Okay. So
Yeah, so they're patented formulas.
yeah. They're like So 2,4,5. So trichlorophenoxacetic. Oh boy, ignore that one for the podcast. Ignore that one for the podcast. But yeah, dangerous chemicals. Dangerous chemicals. Yeah, trichlorophenoxy like acetic acid. Okay, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, have you ever heard of DDT?
Yes.
There's apparently a commercial that says DDT, so safe you can eat it.
What? Oh, what?
Yeah, I don't know. I
Oh.
just found this. I just threw the link in the group me.
Okay, cool.
Whatever.
Yeah. DDT, so safe you can eat it. That is a T-shirt if ever there fucking was one.
It's a 1947 commercial, and they have black people in it, but they definitely look like they dressed them up like slaves. Like this one dude's wearing something around his neck that looks like either a chain or no, I guess it's a shirt. It just looks weird, and he's like, it looks like he's whipping himself. I don't know what's going on.
No.
Oh no, they're just Africans, but I guarantee you they did not fly to Africa or take a boat to Africa to shoot this commercial. So they just got like some black dudes, and they're like, Africa, so safe you can eat the DDT. My gosh. These silly Africans think that our DDT is witchcraft. It works so good, and they're not afraid to eat it. Oh my gosh, this is upsetting to say the least.
Oh.
Yo, I want some entomologist shorts. What the shorts the people are wearing in this video?
Okay, let's hold on. Let me run it back and focus on those shorts. Hold on, give me 1 sec.
You don't have to focus hard because they're just basically like not even pleated, but like you always see like old scientists in those shorts, and their quads are not big enough.
Yeah, no, they're like projecting out. They're like those like hoop dresses. Those are like hoop shorts. You know what I mean?
It looks like how a child draws shorts on a person.
Yeah, exactly.
Like just big, like basically like two rectangles.
Yeah. Like 2 cylinders that are at least twice as big as the leg within.
Yeah. On these people it looks twice as good I guess because you can't really see their quad, but what's the value in that if you're out in the wilderness? Like
yeah,
it
just
doesn't
so could stuff crawl up.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
to let like some snakes crawl up your leg and just slide into your asshole. Like, what do you want?
Yeah. Yeah. Like that. It can't. I don't. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Can't end well.
Cannot end well.
To billow in the like
Do you think those
wind when
shorts
you
like?
run.
Do you think they get soggy when it rains?
Oh, for sure they do. Unless they're made out of some kind of like engineered material
Mm-hmm.
for that purpose. But
Or treated somehow? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Oh my
So
gosh.
they like yeah no those are
DDT,
fair
Let's
weather
Put It
shorts.
Everywhere, 1946.
Oh
Oh my
man.
gosh.
What was that one song? There's that one song that I think geez, was it in music class? Remember like that Paved Paradise put up a parking lot song?
You pay paradise. You put up a parking lot. That one.
Something like that. Like it's like down. You don't know what you got till it's gone. Yeah, yeah, that song. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Big Yellow Taxi by Counting Crows.
Oh wow, why did we listen to that ever? Because I think about that song maybe once a week. I don't know why. Probably psychosis, but why did we ever have to learn about that song?
Wait, did we learn about it?
I remember, like, I didn't find it on my own. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I was introduced to it at school in a class format, but I don't know why.
That sounds like a fever dream. I just heard it like because it's just a really bland, generic, like family-friendly radio song, and it was
Interesting.
big in like when radio was a thing. But again, it just harkens back to our conversation that nothing you make has to be good. All it is the promotion you do. What you make should be good, but it doesn't have to be because it doesn't matter.
Well, I
Because
don't know
dog
that
shit
that's
rises
yeah.
to the top because of good promotion, basically.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Yeah,
for if you're making something for yourself, it has to be good. But if you're
yeah.
making something for
Like,
the
if your
masses,
goal, yeah,
there
if your
are
goal
enough
is just for
dumb
people, yeah,
people you can sell anything.
yeah,
Put that on our
yeah. If your
t-shirt.
goal,
Buy our
oh,
merch.
that's a long one. That's a long one. But
Well,
yeah,
no, I
if
was
yeah,
just thinking mostly there are enough dumb people that you can sell anything. It doesn't even have to be good.
oh yeah, no, definitely put that on a t-shirt. Sell it to everybody. No offense, listener.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, like if your goal is just like I want, yeah, no, if you're just trying to make money, I feel like definitely it's not. It's hard, like in that you have to hustle, but like you don't have to make like overarchingly good content or like good. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, in no capacity does it have to even be better than average.
Yeah, yeah. Because like, yeah, like remember when vlogging was really popular? What is that even? Like,
It
what is
still
that
is
even?
kind of, but
Yeah,
like
but like most of
it's
the time, it's just people doing stuff. You know what I mean? Like what? Like
and it's
you?
there's always like some really like somebody got killed drama. Like
No, yeah,
like and at the same like these people's lives are so good even if they were broke as fuck they'd be so fine. Like
yeah.
I mean, I was thinking recently like I could quit my job right now and be good for a year basically.
Mhm.
Like and I don't make any money, but like in that my lease is paid off, I could scrap for like food and I would be living better than 98% of the world, 99% of the world probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 1%. I think we talked about this on the podcast before. Maybe. Yeah, I think the global 1% line is like 30K. So
Yeah,
if you yeah yeah
relative
oh
poverty sucks, but like
yeah yeah yeah
it
yeah
doesn't matter because at the same time like if there are rich people around you and like a government that removes some fraction of their wealth and like invests it in infrastructure, you can still
like you
use their infrastructure even if they charge you for it. Like you can just not pay. Like what are they gonna fucking do? Just sneak around because
yeah
it costs them less money for you to use their fucking road than for them to enforce their like use their like no use policy without the toll. Like
yeah yeah yeah
But
toll roads are wild. You ever like toll roads? Like I didn't really think about them until like maybe like a year or two ago. But toll roads are very strange. Like
yeah,
I
not a
understand
fan
why
in
they exist,
general.
but like yeah, just the idea that like hey, this road, well the other side of this booth thing, it's exactly the same as the other roads, but you got to pay for this one. This road costs money, like directly. I like, and it's not even. It's not like a lot of money. You know what I mean? And it's not like a huge inconvenience, but like
Yeah.
it's definitely a strange thing. Like, what am I trying to say? Because yeah, no,
Well,
like paying for.
toll roads are responsible for that one dude dying in the Godfather movie.
Oh yeah, when they sneak up on him in the yeah.
Yo, that's actually such a straight up like something that could only happen in like America is, oh, I'm at a toll booth and the fucking like rival mafia pulls up and goosh
Yeah,
just
yeah,
blows me out of the water.
yeah. That
What do you
yeah.
think about taglines before you kill somebody? Because like if it's like say hi to your pops for me down in hell or something like that, like they're not gonna say it. They're just gonna
No, yeah,
and then
yeah,
they're gonna
they're
be
just
dead.
gonna be dead. They're not gonna remember us. Like if you ask them after you shot them
Honestly,
to death, if you're like, "Hey, what did I just say?" They're just gonna be shot to death.
I
Like,
mean, you honestly just think about it. Like if I said like surprise motherfucker as like or something and then like punched you right in the dick, do you think you'd be more focused on the tagline or the fact that your dick is in pain? Like
yeah, exactly. Like, I I don't know. Like, I feel like if like it depends on what your murder timeline is. Like, if I were going to injure or kill someone, like let's say like 10 minutes later, like 10 minutes in the future from when I say the line, then I feel like the line is effective because then they could be like, because depending on the situation, you could have someone like wetting themselves scared for like 10 minutes,
I like
and
a
I
good
feel like
callback, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die, like something like
mhm,
that. But like
that is a good.
I like that shit. Like where you're like, I've been saying this my entire life while I sought you for the revenge killing of my father.
Yeah,
But or like you meet somebody at a bar and you're like, I let you go this time, but next time we meet, I will not be so nice, and then you kill them
yeah,
or something.
yeah.
It's getting very like Monty Python French.
Oh no, a little bit. I was gonna say you drifted a little bit from
Yeah.
Spanish to like yeah, from like a vague Spanish accent to like yeah.
My name is Inigo Montoya. Kill my father. Prepare to die, you English pig dog. Yeah, it's very much that shit.
I
I hope
like. Do you like the Princess Bride? That movie?
I fuck with it heavy actually. Yeah.
I haven't seen it in like forever. I do. I like. I can't think of any part of it that I don't like because it's got. Yeah, no, like, well, what's the name? What's the name of that one dude? The Dread Pirate Roberts. He's basically Batman. So how could I not like that movie?
Yeah, I mean, I really like the fact that they got. I only know of Andre the Giant from that movie. Like that was my introduction to him, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure, if I'm correct, he was like a WWE guy first, and then was in that. But I'm not sure
I believe so.
on the
I think they
timeline.
just he because that's how he got like famous for being a big dude, and then they hired him as big dude.
Yeah, but like, do they have WWE stuff like in the movie at all? Like, I'm sure there's some kind of callback to that, but
Like, does he
I'm not
wrestle?
aware of it. He fights, but not
Yeah,
really.
like he fights. Yeah, I was gonna say he fights Wesley, but he doesn't do like any moves or anything.
When does he fight Wesley?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know he fights Inigo Montoya. Like, there's the whole. Well, no, he does. He does fight Wesley.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, does he? Oh, yeah. I might be getting them confused because they're both kind of scrappy looking dudes.
Oh yeah, they are scrappy looking.
Yeah. I kind of wish that I was born, not in the past, but like at a time when there were less people, or I like wish there were less people, because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like if there were less people, I would way easier be able to like promote myself. Just be like, oh no, all I
Like
have to
fewer
do is
people on the planet.
yeah, just way less people. Just be like, oh no, like all. I'm better than the other 7 million people. Easy. Like, I know, like, a good 150,000 of them. Like, I've interacted with that many. So, I can, just sort of, like, snowball that into some other success or something. Like,
Oh yeah, I think
yeah.
yeah, like I think that's one of the only reasons. Like generally, I feel like if like some kind of apocalyptic event were to happen, it would be terrible for everyone, including me, a lot, right? But the only reason I think like the only reason I would be kind of all right with that kind of thing is if one, I were ready, and two, then like I would have way fewer people to compete with.
Yeah, that's fair. But also, you
Yeah,
wouldn't
no,
be
like
able to
it's
take
like
their money.
oh yeah. Like if they're having some kind of like what am I trying to say? Some kind of like
You're
some
still
kind of like
selling
Mensa conference.
T-shirts?
Wait, say that again.
You're still just out there selling T-shirts in the apocalypse, like
Yo,
pushing a little like a clothes rack around with some wheels.
oh man, that would be funny as hell. That would be funny
Yeah,
as hell.
you're
But
like,
like if like an asteroid landed on like a I don't know some kind of like some kind of smart dude conference, and I feel like automatically, well, not automatically necessarily, but like there are way fewer smart people. Not to say there wouldn't be people smarter than me, but there would just be
oh,
like
I think a
if there
lot of
were
the smart people are not capable of supporting themselves if they needed to.
yeah, I feel like they're what am I trying to say? They're all well, I think the literature
Dainty,
suggests that like this. Wait, say that again.
dainty.
Oh,
They're like porcelain dolls of intelligence. Like
sometimes.
a lot. Yeah, I mean, like if you're talking, I
I
mean,
don't
yeah,
even know.
sure.
I don't know if I would say all like even a lot of the time, but definitely sometimes, especially as
I
like
mean, if you're talking about like academic intelligentsia, I don't think there's a lot of them that are like out boxing and shit, like or like
yeah,
out
like surviving the wilderness with nothing but their
yeah,
hands or
being like
something like that.
preppers. No, I mean, I guess to be fair, like a lot of the teachers at our high school were like they basically got to a level of acceptance with where they were born and live.
Mhm.
So they would like Jack Like, right? He
Oh, I forgot about Jack.
yeah, like he was the aquaponics teacher.
Yeah, shout out to Jack Like, sponsor of the podcast.
Honestly, like we had a pretty goddamn nice high school that they had an aquaponics program.
Oh yeah.
Yo,
Oh
you
no,
want to go
like
to
I
like
think
a
about
city in like South Side Chicago and be like, so how's your aquaponics program?
like that's really I don't
They're
know if
like,
I
we
could
don't have books or air in the school.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that the other day too. We did go to like State High. For the listeners, we both went. Is this if I could
Penn
disclose? We
State
both went to State
University High School, yeah.
State College Area High School. It's not a bad school. It's like a
It's
good
not.
high. Like as far as high schools go, we went to a good high school.
Yeah, we did. And now, to be fair, um,
It sucked, and I hated every minute of it.
oh
I would
yeah,
like to put that on the record.
there's way too much administration because the school had how many people? Like upwards of 1,000.
We
Like,
I think
like
total it was like 2,400 or something like that. Like because our graduating class was 500, and so that times four, or well, it was 500 like 26, something like that.
but then if you add in like Delta and shit, I don't know what that would do.
Oh yeah.
Yo, also, what the fuck? What what school has a side program? Like, oh no, this is for
Yeah.
art kids. They're just a little they just need to learn differently. It's like,
Oh
well, if
yeah,
you
no,
need to learn
Delta's
differently,
really
don't
critical for
be
a
in
bunch of
public
reasons.
education. You're not in public education to think differently.
Oh yeah. Like I went to Delta for a hot second. I have my own problems with Delta.
Hmm. I don't know. I didn't
But
have any experience with it, so I couldn't really speak to it too much. But I don't know
like
what.
if it works, like I guess yeah, like
You
Delta
want to
for
describe the format a little bit, I guess.
hold on, let me finish chewing the Swizzler and then I'll be on. Hold on.
Oh yeah, I've been fucking with Kit Kats and coffee recently, and I'm
Oh, Kit Kat
pissed
is so good.
because it's a I was not a fan of a Kit Kat until recently, but now I might have
Interesting.
a bit of a problem. You know what? You
Oh
know
yeah,
me.
no, like I bought
I
these.
go
Yeah.
deep when I like something. So I've been like I've there's
Just
not 2 days in a row, but on two different occasions within the same week, I've been like I've looked at a pack of Kit Kats and gone, fuck it. Like,
yeah,
like 36 Kit Kats for 99 cents?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Delta, right? So Delta, like John said, Delta is like an offshoot of the State College area. Like, yeah, it's an offshoot of State High. Essentially, it's how would I describe it? Okay, so you call your teachers by your first name. You choose like you have to make certain like credit requirements for like like your core classes and whatnot. But you choose like all of your classes. Like there are a lot more options. Yeah, I suppose there are more options, and the system is more open. And you're supposed to. What am I trying to say? There's supposed to be Oh, I think the term would be like a power distance index. There's like a lower power distance index between you and authority figures. Like they are less, yeah, they have, not to say that they have less authority, but you are less far from them
And I
in
would
terms
say
of
that
like power.
at our high school in general, it was kind of the case that that was how it was, no matter what. Like, I mean, most of the teachers there, like our comp gov teacher, right?
Yes.
Dandy Derek.
Dandy Garrett. I'm sorry, Mr. Man, if you're listening to the podcast.
Schlandy Sparrett. But he was like, guys, I'm not here to say I'm smarter than you. A lot of you guys are really smart kids. I just want to see you guys. It, I don't know why I'm doing like a mocking voice for like one of the kindest things that somebody could say
Oh
as a
no,
teacher.
he's such a good man. He's such a good man.
I bought these bracelets. I saw it on Conan and or Oprah or some shit.
Oh man.
Oh man, I love him. He's such a nice guy, but he
He's
kind of got in that instance a little bit. Like
just
if you convince somebody to buy a product to signal that they're a good person, you're a bad person. Like if you exploit the good-hearted nature of like old white liberals, like a little bit, I mean, killer, but like at the same time, it's like
you made yours, but go fuck yourself about it for sure.
yeah, you made yours. Now you can invest that money in a guillotine and kill yourself. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. But okay, so yeah, but I feel like it stayed high. That was like it varied a lot on like a case to case basis. You know what I mean? Like, and so like yeah, in Andy Barrett's class, like like the de facto power distance index was like super. Yeah, like Andy Barrett like exercised minimal authority over us. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
he's like
but please
he was
continue.
like the kind of teacher where if you're like, I don't value this assignment, and here's why. How else
He'd be
can
like,
I prove my competence? He'd be like,
yeah.
yeah, let's work something out. You can wash my car. Work something out.
Yeah, something like that. I would also like to thank Mr. Merritt for passing me, even though he had zero reason to. Because
I had a class last semester that was like an audio engineering class, and I'm pretty sure that the teacher only passed me because the shit I made, like I had good write-ups, but like my projects were trash because he he was basically like a lynda.com teacher, but like at Penn State University. I've definitely dragged his name through the mud on this podcast already. Feel a little bit bad about that, but at the same time, no, we're not really. But yeah, he wasn't. I guess I can't speak too much to him not being a hands-on teacher because I never went to the class because he's like the first day of class he's like, oh, there's two versions of this class. There's the online class and the class that meets once a week, and I'm like, I'm not trying to have. I didn't like the vibe I was getting from the dude, so I'm like, I would rather just do this on my own with the resources he's provided and get certified in my knowledge and or baseline competence rather than have him sit over my shoulder. Like I think it's the difference between like a C and a B is because I don't think he gives A's. Like the
Because
only
he's a
way he'd
bad
give an
person.
A is if you like
If you blew him.
yeah, basically like if you were already like Michael Jackson levels of successful, like you already were like, oh no, I understand you don't like my music, but I have a SoundCloud with 3.5 million listens on every song I make.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
you can't tell me it isn't good.
yeah. Yeah.
Basically, so something like that. And I guess again that touches back on our on the conversation about like marketing versus actual competence, because you don't. But I guess you need to be competent in, or I guess you don't even need to be competent in marketing. A lot of people don't think of networking as marketing, but that's what it is. So
Yeah.
as long as you like do a lot with a lot of people, if you just really slut your music out, you really just are. Or
Yeah, no, just waving those notes all around town for anyone to use and hear.
yeah, then like yeah, and like tour, not even touring, but like doing music at venues, like building a reputation in the town where you live, but then also building a reputation nationwide and worldwide.
Yeah.
Some shit that I just found out about from another podcast. Welcome back to the podcast. He Ed Sheeran is gonna be a billionaire by age 30, and he makes more money than Beyonce.
Oh, nice. I mean, well, nice for him. I feel neutrally about Ed Sheeran, but good for him.
Yeah, like there are worse people. Like his
There
music
are worse people.
is blandly inoffensive for me, but like I'd listen to it for like I'd throw it on in the background rather than listen to like some elevator music or whatever at work, you know. Better than elevator music. Put it on a t-shirt. Quara'e, 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 where are you? Oh no. We lost him. We're gonna do one of these real quick so we don't corrupt our file again. God damn.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. He basically Ed Sheeran. If that fucking if that corrupted, I'm gonna cry.
I'll cry right now before it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find Johnny Discord, smack him in his mouth.
If that corrupted, this is all you'll hear of the episode, complaining. Like it's gonna be a 3-minute clip going like, man, I'm just really disappointed.
Yeah, like
that might be my favorite Death Grip song. Disappointed, just because it's such a good fucking like, just being like, you're disappointed, because it's like it both like conveys that you were at one point intrigued by somebody, but that they've so blown it, like, and like everything they've done has been the opposite of what they should do to you. Like at every single juncture, they have been a letdown.
Oh yeah. You would say that's your favorite Death Grip song, or like one of?
At least conceptually, I would say
Okay.
conceptually, just because I think it's the outro too. Well, no, I think the outro, but yeah. But is that the one where it's like, what me?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's fun.
I think, yeah. I don't know. Like, how did you like? Oh yeah, remember? Like, were we? I want to say we were pretty excited when Year of the Snitch came out for sure, because I remember we talked about it at work for sure, like the day after it came out.
Yeah, for sure. How did they start, like, get their level of
like cult fame?
Yeah.
I am not sure. Like,
Was it
I'm not
network connections? Was it just, did they just put it on Spotify? Because I know there's a bunch of people that make like dog shit Spotify music and just upload it. And I mean, and I don't mean like music they think is good. I mean music that's like covers of songs, music that's basically, they just make a lot of content and make a lot of money because their stuff will get played um in Spotify as part of Spotify's automatically like generated playlists. So like if you just I think it's mostly like old folks' homes or like dentist's office or anything that just use like a Spotify playlist.
Mm-hmm.
Their music will get played in that because and they'll get the streaming views or the premium views
Oh,
from
okay,
them.
okay.
But it's literally just like they're plugging their music into an algorithm, and that algorithm rewards them based on people's lack of skipping.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that's
Interesting.
phenomenal.
Yeah, no, music, like, what am I trying to say? Like, music, like, up and coming music creation and distribution is super, like, it's one of the, it's like, I don't even know, like, like, that style of creation, like, like, when I make things, like, it's, like, such a different style of making things, and, like, yeah, yeah, the ideas that I seek to, like, create and distribute are, like, very, what am I trying to say? The mechanisms of creation and distribution are like not like wildly different, but different enough that I don't know, like I feel like making music is such a like making and distributing your own music is such a difficult thing to do. I struggled through that sentence, but I don't even know if I've said exactly what I want to say.
Making
But
and
that's
distributing your own words is such a difficult thing to do.
something like that. Something like that. Because
No,
like
I
I
was
get
just,
up like I could.
I was just saying no because yeah, that was it was a joke. It was silly goose hour. It's because you struggled through that sentence, is what I was saying.
Oh, oh yeah, no, I did a do it. I did it. Anyway, uh, um,
Redbubble might be the move though for T-shirts because I mean, what do you have to do to put something on Redbubble? Like nothing.
I think it seems like nothing because everyone has one.
Yeah, so you'll just get like and I don't think you have to like it you get the you get minimal profit because I don't think you deal with any of the shipping information or anything. Like you're not a distributor, you don't bulk order.
Yeah, you just give
It's
them like a design essentially.
yeah, you're basically selling the design and licensing it for however many runs of T-shirts you get.
Yeah. Hmm.
But that might be the move though. Just make like 3,800 Redbubble designs and like
Oh yeah, no. Like I
wait
very much
for
I
enough
like the
people.
yeah yeah
Actually,
yeah.
do they print it? I don't think they even make you bulk order. So
I don't
they
I don't
might
think so.
it might be like a $40 T-shirt that just says it's so hard to market your own ideas.
Ah! I like that. I like that a lot.
I think that's baller. Like just having art that isn't even attached to your name, but just that's out there, and you're like, oh no, that's a project I did. 3,800 rubes bought my. What were some of our classic T-shirt ideas? Classic
Oh
as in 10 episodes ago or 8 episodes ago. This is
oh
our
yeah.
9th.
There's the NSA's favorite podcast. I only want to hear about your ex if she's in my DMs. Then the ones from today, like get that taco bread. Oh
That
man,
taco bread.
how do you hmm.
Yeah,
Okay,
put
apparently
that in.
getting started. There's a button on websites on
Redbubble
fuck me on
on
Redbubble's
Redbubble's
website
website.
on Scruddles Gredgrite that says get started, comma, it's free. And there's like a button. So apparently it's free. There's a Vimeo video which I hate already.
Yeah, Vimeo's kind of bougie. I had an art teacher who was like, "Yeah, Vimeo's a great platform. It's kind of like YouTube, but it's, more tailored to like artists." And I was like, "Oh, that's worse. Fucking
Yeah.
kidding me? I don't want to watch
Like
your shit on Vimeo unless
I was
YouTube kicks you off. I don't want to watch your shit on Vimeo." And even
oh
then,
yeah.
I'll be like, "It's a bummer that you got kicked off of YouTube. I wish you didn't. I'm not going to Vimeo. Their site's dog shit."
Oh, exactly, dude. Like you can't even like you have to what am I trying to say? Like I had to make like I like you have to use like it's really easy to find like if you Google it, but you have to make like you have to paste like a little bit of JavaScript into like the URL thing and make like a bookmark to control the speed of playback, right? Whereas on YouTube it's just like a button and that's exhausting, like
Oh
relatively
my
speaking.
god, yeah. Yeah, because Quara'e watches things in 2 times speed, which is understandable, and I've heard other people do that, or heard of other people do that. I heard
It's
other
just
people do
because
that, and it sounded like they were talking kind of like this, and I was like, I don't know, shit. when they told me about it.
It depends. It depends on how much I care, but generally like a 1.6 to 1.8 is good enough for most things. Something like that. Well, on YouTube my go-to is like 1.5 or 1.75. Sometimes 2. It depends on what I'm watching.
It's understandable.
Yeah,
and they want you to watch things that fast because they'd rather you view more ads. I feel like ads are kind of a lot of ads are kind of not worthless, but kind of worthless. Because I don't remember the last time. I guess Kit Kats are a good example to kind of undermine my point here.
Oh, Kit Kat does have a solid ad, and it always does.
It's not even about their ad. It's just like I never thought about eating a candy bar with some coffee. Like that's never something that I thought about or like considered. Because usually candy's its own thing for me.
Oh yeah.
But let's talk about some people who have no marketing. Sour gummy crawlers. Oh my god. I will fuck up a sour gummy crawler any day of the week.
Do you want to we could make a sour gummy crawler ad and pitch it to them?
That'd be solid. I could do it. Be like, but again, like I've never seen an ad for them, but they're like, I think they just rely on like how low key good their fucking product is.
Oh yeah, because if you make something, well, what am I trying to say? Like it's a weird relationship between like marketing and like the quality of your content. In that, like, if you like build a better mousetrap, the world's not going to line up at your door. You know what I mean? To get that new mousetrap because current mousetraps are like good enough, as it were, right? But like sometimes people make like a good thing and it just gets out there as a virtue of being a good thing. So I that's, you know what I mean? Like I feel like depending on the exact domain in which your creative product lies, right? Like
this is the thing. Like with Instagram, I recently changed my Instagram account to like a business profile so that I can monitor viewership of my content. Because I like making silly goofs, but I like also being able to get managerial statistics. Yeah. I want some raw data about the like I want to be able to quantify, and this is part of the human condition is trying to quantify things. So I want to be able to quantify how funny I was based on like retention and stuff, things like that. And there's so much stuff on Instagram that
there is a lot of stuff on it.
They kind of are trying to remove organic growth because you can pay Instagram to promote your post and just cut through all the layers and show up on the suggested feed.
Which I don't know how cost I imagine like depending on that could be cost effective for you.
If you're selling something or you have ads, it's good to get viewership, but at the same time, what you make has to be like it has to be have the ability to go viral in some capacity.
Yes.
But there's like a lot of like the number of like I don't know.
Man, now that we're speaking, because I have I don't think I've ever talked about it anywhere, but like, or actually maybe here. If I have, it's been here. But I have a Core Solutions Instagram that I never use. And I just because I want to.
You know the concept of like coming up with business ideas on Coke and then like never doing them, but just like I've just heard a lot of stories about people like, yeah, man, I'm gonna start a fucking business. I'm gonna be a god. But then like you never do anything to actually actualize that business idea.
Oh yeah.
I'm definitely down with that. That's all I had to say.
I just what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, because the reason I made it is because you've seen my Instagram and the content is various and it's what am I trying to say? Yeah, it's various and some of it is not good for business, as it were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I the idea is that I could like build things in one of the places and it would just be mine in one of the other places. But I haven't put any content there because I haven't been building things like I should. Like I'm working on stuff, but nothing's like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like nothing.
Yeah, you don't really have like the budget or the infrastructure at the moment to have like a build that is popularizably, like Boston Dynamics level of viral.
Yeah. Because I could make something like it's just the main difference between now and before is that all my like instead of having a bunch of tools and like I didn't have a bunch of tools like too many tools before, but instead of having like tools and a place to work where I live so I can do it at any time, like the place where I can build things is like an hour and a half away on 2 buses, you know what I mean? And that's the major wrench in the works, really.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that far away.
Oh, well, it's like by car. If I had a car or like we're willing to pay for a ride, it'd only be like 20 minutes, something like that. But like it's like yeah, no, it's not really an hour. It's like more like an hour and 15. Like I got to I have to like I have to take a bus downtown and then take a bus for like deeper into Pittsburgh.
Oh, I didn't realize you lived in the Pittsburbs.
Oh yeah. I live in I live in like a Pittsburgh suburb. Like yeah, I'm like 20 minutes away from downtown proper by car.
I'm so disappointed you did not. Yeah.
But oh no, it's
Pittsburghs
definitely
is
a
way
bummer.
more.
I don't yeah. Oh yeah, no, I don't live in like the city in the city. That would be dope.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever thought about finding like an not even like a dog shit apartment, but like an apart? Well, I guess I don't know. Where are you? You're on campus housing, right? Or in some
Uh
capacity, like campus related housing.
yeah.
So I guess I was gonna say like I don't know how viable it would be for you to be in the city if you have to commute to class, because if that's your main thing, it would make more sense for you to just.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like it's yeah, they've got like a what am I trying to say? They've got like a bus that runs like every hour from like 6 a.m. to like 5 or what or like it runs from like 6:30 to like and the last one's at like 4:40 or whatever. But to get like from here to like actual campus, which is convenient because that is free. But I have been like every once in a while I do look into like yeah, my only thing is I would like I could do it, but I'd be poor. You know what I mean? Like I'd be poor.
Yeah. Driving is weird. Here's the thing though, because there's enough housing in the city that you could find like not even a slum, but like a really not I don't even know if I want to say irresponsible property manager, but just one that like there's cheap housing pretty much anywhere.
Oh
Just
yeah.
if you
Like
can scheme it, if you can
yeah,
scheme it.
no. And I could
There's just like one apartment that costs like $50 a month, and you're like, how the fuck? But like
yeah.
everything else around it is worth like $1,500 every month or something.
Oh yeah. Like like I like if I were sufficiently motivated, I could definitely move out. It's just before. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's just I'm not because well, I'm not sure what type of time scale I'm operating on exactly. In that, like, I'm only going to be in school here for another year, and let's say it would take me like I don't know, like a month or like a couple months, like maybe it would take me like another season to be like financially stable enough that I thought I could move out. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
like thoroughly financially stable. Well, not like thoroughly, but like enough to like not live here, right? And if I found
Yeah.
that place and moved all my stuff and whatnot, then I'd only be in that spot for like another like 8 months or something like that. Which 8 months is a long time, especially if I could only have to take one bus from like like one bus back here to go to school and like one bus to my workspace and whatnot. That would be like a more efficient way to live. But like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it just depends on the startup cost and effort of like that lifestyle.
This is
Because
something
like yeah,
I think we can get into because there was like the last time I was like really on the highway like as a passenger,
mm-hmm.
I was getting driven to Altoona, and or not yeah, it was Altoona, but something I just noticed is like basically human if you think of human cities like ant hills and like the roads as the paths between them, it
Yeah.
makes it a lot more interesting because
Oh yeah.
you become really deeply aware of all the sort of really like all the competing organizational structures. Like corporate interests are an organizational structure because they want like good infrastructure so that they can make more money. They want like I realized when I walked recently that there's like State College is basically owned by like Shell oil.
Oh, interesting.
Like there's a ton of gas stations and in that gas stations are like what makes cities possible at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's like 15 different like Nittany Oil subsidiaries in like a 15-mile radius. Like they have like their headquarters over in Park Hills. They have like almost every gas station. They have like a bunch of different franchised gas stations all over town. And it's not even that their number one export is gas, because I think most of their purchases are like drunk students or high people like buying food and like shit when they eat. And
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
something I was talking to my Uber driver about, because he said he worked at one of those like Minute Mart sort of uh
Mm-hmm.
corporations. He's like, yeah, no. I would usually just sleep because uh everything in there costs so little, because it's all like stuff that you don't need to preserve. Like I was gonna say Holocaust food, but like global Holocaust food. Like if the
Yeah,
world
yeah,
ends in hellfire, like
yeah,
your Monster Energy drink won't go bad.
yeah.
Your Kit
If it's not
Cash.
like you'll go bad before it goes bad, as it were.
Yeah. You'll probably go bad because all you're eating is Kit Kats and Monster, but at the same
Oh no,
time,
definitely.
you're gonna be using the sugar from it, so you kind of need it.
Yeah.
Yo, just a global epidemic where everybody's fat in the apocalypse because all the food is like they have like the distended starving child bellies
Oh no.
because like they've just been eating like they're malnourished, but they're not starving. They're eating
No,
things that
yeah.
aren't food, but like the number one cause of death in the apocalypse is cardiac arrest.
Oh no, like like just people keeling over because their diets have made their body bad and wrong.
Yeah, that's kind of like if I was ever gonna start like a solo, like not even podcast but like vlog series, because it's all the same thing. It's just
Hmm.
entertainment. Entertainment is entertainment. Like if you're a YouTuber, you work in entertainment. Like that's it. Like don't call
Yeah.
yourself a YouTuber. Don't box yourself in because you can do other things.
Yeah, like
But
say like if you think you're like maybe communications, like something like that. Yeah.
like does anybody who's like like you don't label yourself based on the infrastructure you use or the
Oh no,
platform you
exactly.
use.
Like you're
Like
not like no
that'd
one
be like if a
works in the
comedian
creative.
was like, "Oh,
I'm a microphoner.
I'm an employee at the comedy store. I'm an employee at the haha
No, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
I'm an employee of the Giggle Fit."
The giggle fit. Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know. Also, I feel like it's weird to name a club like that too. Like, cause what do you do? Like to name, cause
yeah.
do you want to be understated, overstated? Do you want to box yourself in with comedy, or do you want to have like, because there's value in specialization, but at the same time,
Like how much?
specialization versus leaving your options open.
Yeah,
Because I
exactly. Like
suppose you could be like, oh, we're a historical club. It makes sense to like, I guess, it makes
yeah, to
sense
like
that our name is a legacy name, and so like we're gonna have like the Rolling Stones play at the Comedy Store or some shit. But
yeah, that
like
doesn't really. Yeah,
maybe it's the venue size or something.
maybe like yeah, because I guess
Because
I don't know.
the venues are different. Because you can have a comedy show with like I guess seating versus standing. Because there aren't really
Yeah,
like standing comedy shows. Although that'd be funny. Like instead of everybody laughing, there's just a mosh pit.
but you could. What was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? But you can have
Some straight up
like a good comedy
Shakespearean
show with
shit.
like. Oh yeah. But you can have like a good comedy show with like 20 people. You know what I mean? But you can't really have a good concert with 20 people. I don't.
There
And
aren't
so I
really.
suppose.
Oh, I was gonna say, like are you're familiar with, like the Shakespeare like mosh pit people, right? Like the people that are just standing in the front next to the stage. like
Oh,
yelling
no.
shit. Like all the good seating in a Shakespeare show was like balcony seating that you needed opera glasses for.
Oh,
But
okay.
then there would just be like these people who would stand in front of the stage, and I was just thinking, like tangentially, about how much better those actors would have had to be as
Oh,
as entertainers
oh yeah. If yeah,
to like
someone were to like,
deal with a dude right there, like
yeah,
yelling
like
some
right
shit like
there, right there.
ha ha ha, that's a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
joke, like just getting
definitely.
really into it, letting everybody else know.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's kicking hecklers out of the Globe Theater, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Have you oh, geez. How do you think you would react if you were like heckled on stage?
I don't know. Either ignore it or it depend on how good the heckle was.
Oh yeah, if it was a really good heckle, I would probably laugh.
I'd be like,
If
"You right," and then just
yeah,
keep.
yeah, you got me there for sure.
But
Please don't talk during my show, though. Please.
yeah, you're right. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody get him. Some security.
Oh,
Kill this guy.
like, hey, take him.
Yeah. I feel like
What if you?
fighting the dude yourself is funny but irresponsible,
Yeah,
and
like. What if you?
definitely
I like.
you would not be able to win that lawsuit.
Oh no, for sure. Like if you like, yeah, he made fun of me, so I just kicked his ass. I leaped off of the stage and hit him with a flying kick.
Yeah, and also that gives him promotion.
Oh, true.
So
Then
like,
he's the dude who
if
got
he has
kicked
if
in the
he has
mouth while
any like idea how to segue that.
yeah. What if you had like? I'm imagining like the idea of like someone having like a service dog. You know how sometimes people have like bullshit service dogs. Like, why do you need a dog? Like, I don't know your life, but you don't look like you need a dog.
Oh yeah, unless you're blind, you don't need one really. Or
Yeah,
like you
I
just
mean,
want to sniff for drugs in public. Like what the fuck do you have a dog for?
oh yeah, no, but I like the idea of having like a quote unquote service dog like on stage with you, and like someone starts to heckle you, and
You just take
you
it
just
on them.
point. Yeah, I was gonna say you just point, and your dog mauls them.
I like the idea that it's like a tiny ass dog too that can like fend
Oh,
for
oh,
itself.
I was thinking a large, like a too big dog. You know what I was
A
thinking
too
of
big
like
dog
a
is
two
good as well. You have
like a
like a pit
200
bull
pound
in a
dog.
cage. You have a pit
Yeah,
bull in a cage, and when they heckle, you let it out.
yeah.
It could go for
I like.
anyone. It's not trained. It's just
Oh
this
no,
is a wolf I
yeah.
found.
No, like the dog, just like as you open the cage, you're like, ladies and gentlemen, this dog isn't trained, so you might want to, be careful. Like, wrap your coat around your arm, be ready. Like, oh man, I very much like the idea of having a dog who like you can like what am I trying to say? Like having a dog who assists you in fighting people. Like if you could point and say take them, your dog would take them.
I guess for comedy too, it's interesting. It because people will laugh at almost anything
True.
if there's like social pressure too, but
Yeah.
also it like once they're it's kind of that they have to be in the headspace of willing to laugh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're at a venue,
Yeah. I think that's
I
like the most
wonder
important aspect of it.
what factors. Yeah. I guess a venue is kind of like saying like while I'm up here, this is all jokes.
Yeah, like consider the like you're yeah. Like
But a lot
there's
of it
like
isn't really
extra.
even. Most of a comedy show is not jokes for the most part. A lot of it's other
Like
kinds of
setup.
and like it's just it's a thing to do while you're out or like yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because like yeah, it's like just yeah, it's like what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? Because my understanding of a lot of comedy clubs is that they're just like bars
Yeah,
with
they're
a
basically
stage,
just like
like
a
bars
club.
with a
Yeah, club
yeah
with entertainment.
yeah. So I suppose yeah.
I was listening to a Charlemagne podcast. Like that's where I heard about the Ed Sheeran thing. Um
Mm-hmm.
because he I don't know if he's done a Vegas residency as an entertainer, but he was talking about like giant entertainers like Beyonce. If they wanted to do a Vegas residency with a casino that isn't doing too hot, I mean, honestly, they would be able to do the entire town no problem. Like they could be like, Vegas, give me 10% of all the revenue while I'm here, because
something like that.
while I'm in town, you're going to be seeing, like, I'm going to be performing every night, and there's going to be hundreds of thousands of people that are here just to see me.
Yeah.
Like, understand, I'm giving you, like, any bump you see, I'm going to need a cut of that.
Yeah. Like, ooh, I'm gonna need a cut of that. Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, you don't need it. Like, you already, like, once you, like, fuck you money as a spectrum is very, like, sort of like U-shaped, I guess, in that, like,
How do you mean?
or I don't know. I don't know how I describe it, like, on a graph, but like it basically, like, the difference between 40 million and 80 million is less great to you than, like, the difference between 60,000 and 20 million or 40 million.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like, what am I trying to say? Like, they're like diminishing returns. You're saying?
Yeah, law of diminishing returns. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. I would say, well, I don't know. Well, it's just I like it's because like I don't know. Do the returns diminish? Like, I feel like they diminish when you like if you like plateau at a certain range. Like as far as like having fuck you money goes, I think that Jeff Bezos is at the top of the hierarchy because he's the richest dude on the planet.
No, he's not.
Oh wait, who's the richest dude on the planet then?
Oh, he lost half his money in a divorce recently.
Oh, what?
So yeah.
When? Recently?
Yeah, I mean, he'll probably be the richest student in the world next year because
but
doesn't pay taxes on Amazon.
True.
Amazon paid 0 in federal taxes last year, and so that's not a problem. They just degraded the U.S. infrastructure by shipping everything that people buy, but that's not a problem. They don't need to pay for that.
They don't.
They got to write off the fucking damage the road did to the tires of their trucks on their taxes so that they don't fucking pay for it, you know? It's a business expense. It's an expense, man. What? You're not about creating jobs? You're not about creating jobs?
Oh man. I think that's a quick tangent. I think it's always really funny when people talk about creating jobs. Like creating jobs is it's like it's the goodest thing you can do. You know what I mean? Like it's the best thing.
Yeah, creating jobs that people that like that won't make people kill themselves. That's great. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Creating jobs where people have enough to live comfortably, not much more, but like enough to live comfortably and retire with no hardship or like no concern. That's all the jobs that we want. Like, I don't care about jobs as a number. I care about jobs in a qualitative aspect.
Yeah, exactly. So I was thinking, like, because like if someone were like, you don't want to create jobs, I'd be like, no, these jobs would have been horseshit. I'm glad they don't exist.
Exactly. Like, I mean, if there's a job like, hey man, food, yeah, we can deliver a pizza, but it costs $40. It's like, okay, well, yeah, this is a luxury. Understand, we don't have the infrastructure for this. Like, we don't have a drone that can do this, and me being a drone costs $40.
Yeah. Like
Like, yeah, I don't know. I think that corporations as an organizational structure have done a lot to lower the bar that people have to survive. Like lower the self-respect of people to negotiate their own wages. Like it's like, oh no, this is just what it is. It's industry standard. We're owned by a conglomerate holding company, and it's standard within our own company. Like,
just like like the idea that what am I trying to say? That human that like what am I trying to say? That human labor, that like your raw personal labor that you like output to be paid is worth like maybe not less than it was once upon a time, but definitely like less than it is worth in actuality. Like it's It's a grand bamboozling, as it were. Like it's a confusion of the value of labor. Yeah.
It's part of like the fundamental structure of a lot of organizational structures to diminish the value of people's labor and time. Because how much is your time worth? Nothing and everything. Because if you're not doing anything, it's your time's worth $0 and 0 cents if you can't market yourself.
Exactly.
But at the same time, like there's no reason to to market yourself. I don't know.
Like
basically, what I was trying to say. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Like, do you want me to go?
Like the people who built Notre Dame.
Oh yeah.
When Notre Dame burned, not down, but like caught on fire and had suffered massive infrastructure damage recently, or structural damage, not infrastructure, but structural damage recently. There was a substantial, like, it cost like they raised like $1 billion or something to rebuild it. It did not cost $1 billion to make, because people were like, oh, no, you're gonna build this for us because we're the only people who have money to pay you and who want massive buildings right now.
Yeah.
And also, if anybody else wants a massive building, they are a fucking heathen. Like, understand. We're the we're the big building religion. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you Oh yeah, like I think about it as like a potential thing, like because like if you imagine like over time, like over your entire life, how much money could you make, right? You know what I mean? Because like in that what am I trying to say? Because like in actuality, like I sell my time for like 12 bones an hour right now, right? But like in actuality, like my time's probably worth like at least like 50 bones an hour or something like that, maybe even 100, because I'm a young person and this is investment time. So I think particularly in the microcosm of I think that idea of the devaluation of human labor like shows like particularly in like young people, in that like our time is worth more because it's investment.
It's exploited all day. All day. And I hate that. I hate the fucking notion that it's that of people who are like the notion of having people that are like shit, that I completely blanked on it. I don't know. But basically being like, because you're young, we can fucking take your money. Or
no. It's like, hey,
or you haven't earned it with your loyalty. It's like, no, I earned it by earning it.
Yeah.
I use the infrastructure you set up to make money. Like, how much money do you have? If you have like my like the manager at where I work, like the head dude, he at like our annual meeting or whatever was like, yeah, man, profits are great. We're like doing like double or triple what we were doing last year. And I was like, whoa.
Hear me.
Whoa. I'm not doing double or triple what I was doing last year.
I'm doing less.
The doubling, tripling is 100% mine. Or like not 100%, but like
it's not theirs.
Yeah.
It's like, to the extent that they quibble.
You preserve wealth, I create it.
Yeah. And it's like, what am I trying to say? Oh yeah, no, it's like super duper frustrating to like as like a young person to to live in like a world in which the value of young people specifically is not valued, because it's like everything that I do now will compound into the future, because I'm gonna live most likely for longer than I have lived. You know what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah.
So
also, this honestly, this is what I meant by time served. In last episode when I wrote down the notes, this is what I meant by time served. Like, there's so much that people do that is undervalued because of the time. Like, people feel that they can exploit them because they haven't
been doing it for very long.
Yeah, it's like, Do I need to be doing it for very long to make the money? Not really. And the way they justify it is like, well, we train new people and we can't pay them less than what they're worth, because then we're able to like when we're training them, I'm like, well, when you're training, like, don't hire like people who need training, really, like who hard need training, like they need somebody to stand next to them and they can't learn on their own.
Because like, what am I trying to say? Because like, I imagine in every training process, right, like you plan like, that person might make like 2 or 3 like moderate sized whoopses, you know what I mean, but it's not like they won't understand the position or something like that. Like they won't be like they will have like most people, or what am I trying to say, most competent employees at like, whatever metric that is. But I imagine when most people think of a competent employee, they very likely will not need a lot of training to at least understand their duties, right? And if you hire them, I imagine
in the microcosm of food service too, though.
Oh, definitely not.
They don't lose any money on the food because they throw it all out. So it's like unless you're throwing out nothing at the end of the night, there's no reason to like if somebody fucks up, it doesn't cost you anything because you were already going to throw that out at the end of the or donate it and write it off on your taxes, like, or donate some of it and write it all off on your taxes, like, doesn't. Yeah.
But I had a thought just now. Oh yeah, and like we've had this conversation for sure on the podcast about whether or not like employment is inherently exploitative and whatnot, just because they can't pay you what you are worth. Like numerically, they can't. Like
exploitative is maybe the wrong, because it implies like there's a value associated with the word.
There's like a negative connotation.
But in that like connotation divorced from the subject, in that all you do is like as an employee is make money for other people, and then get paid a fraction of that money. When I say exploitative, a lot of the time I do genuinely mean in a malignant, like cancerous way. Like if you knew how much money you made being as a good employee for your employer, and then you, like the problem is there are no usage statistics on your labor. Like you don't get to see it as a managed employee. Like
I would love it if I could see my own stats. That would be fantastic.
And that's something that I do want to say. Like, do you have a way to quantify how good I am? Because I don't want to. I feel I'm pretty good. I don't want to speak out of turn.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I'm nothing special, let me know. Like, but show me some numbers.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they don't have them. Like.
Yeah, I mean, well, they might not have them, but if they don't have them, what's the point of a managerial class if you can't quantify? I mean, I understand why they don't. I understand why they don't, because they don't quantify it because it would cost them money to quantify it, and then it would cost them money once people had the usage statistics. Like this is why the idea of like worker-owned communes are like a popular idea in some places now, because it's like, whoa, we all do all like, well, not we all do all the work, but like we should all be rewarded for the expansion of this company, or like the expansion of this labor. Like if you don't view me as an individual, like, and you don't have individual statistics and you just have general statistics, that's why unions exist, because you only have general statistics. Like it's the only way you have to quantify your growth is general growth. So we have to like then have a general like pay scale. Like
like what am I trying to say? Yeah, you can only effectively like produce growth at the scales that you can like thoroughly monitor or something like that. You know what I mean? Like you can't or well I don't know. Like, I don't even know necessarily. Like, I imagine it is mostly for that fact that at like the scale at which the most organizations, like especially food service organizations, are concerned with like operating at, they don't really like, they don't care. They or what am I trying to say? They don't, especially with like high employee turnover rates, they don't care about the individual statistics. Like it would be, it would cost more for them to know that than it would for them to not. But I imagine that's also
But like cost
like,
more on every level because it would
yeah,
cost them money, and then even if like, because I mean, here's the thing: if you create your own statistics, like you find a way to quantify it, they'll
mm-hmm,
pick through like they'll a good manager would probably pick through a good manager for a corporation, not like a good
yeah,
manager in like a
for like,
ethical sense. But they'd
like,
probably
yeah,
pick through and like gripe about the way that you quantify your labor. But at the
mm-hmm.
same time, like if they're
This
not
is the best I
quantifying
could
it,
do.
they don't get to
Yeah,
choose. They don't get
yeah,
to
yeah,
choose. The only reason they get to choose is because there's high turnover and it's unstable.
yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But
But
yeah. What was I
that
gonna
was
say
something
here?
I wanted to talk about too.
Mm-hmm.
Advertising is a bubble, I think. I think a lot of advertising jobs are paid, and it's more about having a brand, like a good brand name that you want to have. If you want to expand your growth, you want to have like a digital presence. Like a Wendy's where like they have like Twitter memes and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I feel like a lot of people are smarter than a lot of advertising now, and I
Um,
don't think
or at least
advertising, it might
they're
sway your
familiar with it.
decision once you're in a store looking for a
Mm-hmm,
product,
mm-hmm.
but I don't know the degree to which it actually creates drive. Like I don't think
Oh
it
yeah.
creates customers. I think it might just create, I don't know. It's
Like
weird.
I don't even know if I wouldn't necessarily describe it as people being smarter than advertising. I think it's just that advertising is not as smart as people are necessarily, which I suppose is kind of the same thing. But I think it's familiarity thing. You know what I mean? In that, like, everyone's always being advertised to. So when they're blatantly being advertised to, they're like, "You're trying to trick me." I don't appreciate that necessarily, but like with like a kind of what am I trying to say? With like a neutral tone and all that. And so yeah, I feel like I would agree. Yeah, like once I'm in a place, like obviously, especially if I've never been to that place before, the thing that they have made to look the most appealing is going to be the thing that I go for. But yeah, I feel like advertising is going to change
Oh,
because
it,
I
it,
think
it already is changing. Like you see a lot more memes and stuff, but I
yeah,
don't see it being viable in the long term in its current form. I would agree. Yeah, in its current form.
yeah, yeah, yeah. In
Well,
its current form, it's not
what do
viable.
you
I
think
think
the
it's
future of advertising looks like? Is it just a strong like social media presence? Because social media, again, there's so much shit out there that like to build. I mean, I think it's a lot of, I don't know,
I
getting
think
a
maybe it would.
reputable person to recommend it, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I think
Like
I think in like
it's more in the style of like paid promotion rather than
something like that. Like I think
not even paid
advertising.
promotion, just like we'll hook you up. We'll give it to you free if you mention it from time to time that you like the product.
Yeah, I
If you
think
like the product
yeah,
and you
yeah, yeah.
want the product. But
Yeah, I think it'll be like a person to person, like when you like are introducing like one friend to another friend and you're like, "Oh, this dude's a cool dude." You know what I mean? I feel like essentially it'll be like, yeah, like in order to like somehow like keep up with like the in like cuz the problem I think the problem for advertisers is that people are more connected to each other than they have been before, like than they have been before. So it's what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? I think it's
there's going to be a
yeah,
massive culture change, and there's already a massive culture change.
yeah, I
And you
think
can
it's
see
yeah,
the
I think it's
impacts of
something
that
to do.
culture change on things like social issues like marijuana, gay marriage, all those
Yeah,
things. Like,
yeah. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know exactly how I would describe it, but it's something to do with the connectivity of people, and it creates like this distance. Maybe not. This isn't the right word. It's like
no, distance is the right word. There's this whole concept in the geo class I took, the geography class I took, that
mhm.
I dropped. You also took that class, but they mentioned
Oh, yeah.
they they mentioned this concept of it's called like spatial distortion or something like that. But it's
Mhm.
basic. The concept is basically you have distance is so great and technology compacts distance. So if you think about every action as distance over time, the reach is sort of exponential. Like, so how far things away are changes based on the time it takes to get there. So China is only far if you're walking, but you can take a flight there from almost any city in the world right now.
Yeah, like right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not right now. It's going to be delayed, but
Oh yeah.
You can wait in an airport anywhere that has an airport.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, but what I mean about distance is I think maybe distance isn't distance wasn't the exact right word for like what I meant necessarily. Like the distance from people is definitely I think the distance is the right word for like the increased connectivity of like individuals. But I'm talking about like the relationship between like advertisers and advertisements to people. Like I think they're maybe like too maybe simplistic would be the word in that they're the
what you want to
framework.
do is like advertise with somebody who has a big platform, not for advertising, because to sort of like sneak it in a little bit.
Something like that, yeah. What am I trying
Friend
to
of
say?
the show is better than a sponsor,
Yes. Yeah. I think it's because people are acclimated to being like. I think it's people have become acclimated to being much closer to each other than they were before, and because of that increased interpersonal closeness, advertisement feels particularly far and uncanny, right? And so, in order to advertise effectively, one has to collapse that distance and remove the uncanniness by appearing not by appeering as like a simulacrum of a person. You know what I mean? Like I think in the future,
and corporations are not people, but the people in corporations are what make a corporation good, and their ability to network and promote and like just be a real person, like have good conversations, be a friend to like the people they work with. Like, do you think in the future that people will like rather than a high school education, because information will become so dispersed, that a large social media platform or like social media presence will be more valuable than like a college degree? Because I would say it's already there.
Not. I would say I hope that doesn't happen, because you can have the ability to talk to a bunch of people without knowing anything, like for sure. And I feel like whether or not it becomes more. I feel like
I was saying like as an individual, like having just a large promotional platform to do anything really, but like just to like I mean, if you're doing good work, you want other people to see it. And
that's true. That's true. But I don't know if that's. I think that's just kind of like to the extent that like being personable or like being able to be personable is already like has like been more efficient than not being personable or not having the ability to be personable. Like to the extent that like being highly sociable or the ability to is already better than the antithesis of that or whatever. Yeah, I feel like it already is, and that'll just be like a newer version of that. I mean, yeah, I feel like it already is. I feel like to a certain extent it already is.
But I mean, like to a greater degree, I suppose.
I don't know.
I feel like
I don't know.
somebody who didn't go to school in any capacity or beyond like I guess probably high school, I suppose, but or like who fucked off in high school, but instead built a giant social media platform. That's inherently interesting to me because
oh no, yeah, I'm not saying it's not interesting.
It's way easier to monetize viewership at this point, and I think that might change too. The thing is like most of these thoughts are spurred because I keep hearing old people say like in the same way that they did with marijuana. Like if you hear an old person talk about marijuana, like the research isn't in on it. I'm like, well, people have been using it for millions of years, but or like primates have been consuming it since fire, but it's cool. Research is in on that. Maybe we just got sober for long enough to build civilization, but I doubt that. especially if you look at like World Wars. It's interesting if you look at World Wars as a global event, though. Like, as if you're looking at it from an advertising standpoint, like a way to network, like because you have all these new customers coming in as soldiers, and you have ways to market to them. Because there's so like tattooing started because sailors, or like not started, but its popularization in America was because like there were these sailors that would go to other countries and stuff, and they wanted like some sort of consumable art to take back with them, and they like took in the art and the culture of these other societies, and they wanted to bring it back with them in some capacity. But I don't know, it's very strange. It's all very strange.
Yeah. I'm trying to. I'm still thinking about that platform thing. Because, yeah, I don't.
Like, I think if in the right hands,
Yeah, in the right hands, but like.
In the right
yeah.
hands, or not even in the right hands, because I don't think it's hard for it to be in the right hands. Like, I'll say in the right hands, but the right hands aren't that prohibitive.
Yeah, no, the right hands aren't the hands of B. They're like the hypothetical right hands, as it were.
Yeah, like
the ideal hands.
Yeah, sort of like a rough knowledge of how these systems work is like if you have like 10,000 plus followers, you don't need a job. Like, you just don't, because you can work with advertisers, be an entertainer, all these things. You can network. Like, the number on the screen allows people to interact with you in a way that they hadn't before. Like, because they go, there's like there's some sort of psychological something that happens when a lot of people see that a lot of other people like this thing. Like, it's easier to get a cult following when you have a certain threshold, I guess. Any project you do from there, like, you want to have, as an artist at least, but I think it applies to other subjects as well. You want to have a platform that's big enough that you can promote other people, and it like means something, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, if you have friends and whose work you like, or like people whose output you appreciate, you can help them to promote it and like cross promote. No, it's very strange.
Yeah,
it's all very muddy because there's so many different factors, and it's very hard to.
I don't know. I think maybe. What I hope is that increased human interconnectivity makes it much. I hope it becomes much easier to monetize creative production, but I hope that doesn't
water it
devalue.
down.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't water it down, and I hope it doesn't like devalue. Like, what am I trying to say? I'm not trying to say the creative production is easy, right? But the idea of I don't know. Like the struggle aspect of work. You know what I mean? I think that the idea of work being difficult is important to productivity. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it will remove a level of difficulty. I think that it'll just consolidate that difficulty into, rather than the work being difficult, it's the promotion of your work is work in and of itself, and that's difficult. And there are so many difficulties that come with the act of promotion. Like, it's not it's easy to get like a good following, but anybody can do it. Or it's not easy to get a good following, but anybody can do it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. So it's just like you're saying. What am I trying to say? Like how geez. Oh, say okay. So like just lowering the barrier to entry to I don't know, like this augmented social interaction that we have.
Yeah, I always hear old people complain. This is what I was gonna say. I didn't finish my. So they might have a point. But I always hear them say, like, I think that we're gonna see a lot of interesting findings coming out of the way that social media makes people interact. I think that people are really going to step back, but I think that the cat's out of the bag and you can't put it back in at this point. Um,
I would say that's definitely true. That is definitely true. Whatever, like, yeah, the proverbial cat is for sure out of the bag.
yeah, and I don't
man.
know. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many factors. I
Yeah.
think that as far as like ways to promote things in a long term way, like if you're this, I would like to touch on the subject of like mythology again. Uh, podcast name, an
Something.
art collection name. It's something, but there's definitely something to the idea. But my thought on the subject um, is that if you're trying to promote things in a sort of a way that will be viewed and appreciated after you're dead, but while you're alive in a way that is more profound on paper than than and like transcendent,
Yeah.
then what you want to do is sort of tie your art to mythology because mythology has a timeless aspect to it.
Yeah.
But
But when yeah.
when I
Finish,
say
finish.
modern American, I think that you should be able to mythologize in an intentional capacity the work you do no matter like you should be able to say like this is going to be like this sort of I don't know touch on please spitball because I'm trying to
Oh.
find words but like
I like because I like what I originally thought when I was just imagining what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? Like the classical mythological elements, but kind of or I suppose the current like the American like the current American zeitgeist mapped onto classical mythological I don't know like elements or something like that. Like
this
to
is
the
a good
extent like the
example.
left
This
is
is a
like
good
oh yeah.
example.
Yeah.
You know how like Nazi Germany basically I mean it created German art and culture, not in that, not in a good or, I mean, obviously in a bad way. In a bad way, it did that, but but it these people created this idea of like uh they harped on an idea of a non-existent Germany that was like an idyllic mythologized version of the past to
Yeah.
create the German Empire in the modern era. And
Mm-hmm.
that sort of the popularization and reaction to that popularization are what created like what exists in Germany now as far as art and culture. So
Mm.
if you're talking like things like Grimm's fairy tales, you're talking things like Germany as a staple for beer and food. Like you're talking
Mm.
about the architecture. The architecture is a big one. Like having government art that's like it exists to exert dominance in the world. Like look upon my work, see mighty in despair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot.
But like I'm trying to like what
But
exactly like
but
yeah.
modern American mythology is
Mhm.
like is sort of mythologizing the way that these people that the people interact in the new way and sort of coming to terms with the profundity and absurdity of the world we live in right now in the context of the past. So modern like American mythology would be like we had planes fly into buildings. Neither of those things like into skyscrapers. Neither of
Mhm.
those things existed in the past. Um,
Oh yeah,
like
that's a new that yeah.
that's a new
Like
thing.
as far as acts of terrorism have gone, yeah, that was a new. Well, skyscrapers have existed for how long? Have skyscrapers been around
Since reinforced concrete, or like steel reinforced concrete existed. So
I'll
not
look it
that
up. The planes have been around for like a century. Like, well,
yeah,
at
but
the
like
time
planes
of
that
9/11,
can
they've been around.
planes that can make a building melt.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. Like make a building, make this megalithic architecture melt and collapse, killing thousands of people. Like that's insane. And that image is burned into the zeitgeist of the American mind, like no matter what. Like you might, I don't think it's reverent. It's so much. It's not as reverent as it was in the past. And I think that a lot of the reverence that people had for it, and especially the way that reverence was exploited, was used to it devalued not the sacrifice, but it devalued the profundity of the death and destruction, and by having like a militaristic reaction to it, because you're like, okay, we're not fighting for the people who died on 9/11, we're fighting for Lockheed Martin, we're fighting so that like Dick Cheney can embezzle money from the US government. Like what the fuck? But still, fighting is exploited as a mythological concept. Like if you want to talk about quote unquote toxic masculinity or whatever, like I don't think that that's a good way to quantify the situation, but saying like the mythological aspect of you wronged me and now we must war is like it's absurd and insane how things like that come together, because it's no single force, but it's like the difference between a good war and a bad war, the percentage of the forces that exploit that war, that have malignant intentions or like exploitative ambitions. Because war profiteers are not punished in any capacity. Like you can sell guns to both sides like the US does, and nobody bats an eyelash.
So like the idea that what am I trying to say? That classic mythological elements like tragedy and violence and whatnot, and but being like mapped
on a bigger
like,
scale, and where everyone can see
the idea that we're telling the same story via like a new medium, like a new and not not
if
radically
Odysseus,
and not like still say that
like,
again.
If the journey of Odysseus, like the voyage of the Odyssey was happened today, the dude would probably have a podcast about it, and you would probably see live streams. Like that's so insane. Just the fact that everything's recorded, but so many things aren't at the same time. Like we're in such a weird transition phase, and I don't know if we will ever fully transition, because I think there will always be ways to game the system, but the ways that to game the system are not an understatement of the sort of profound absurdity of the situation, or its like subsidiary like aspects of myth and death and all these things, pain and suffering. But it is it's a different way. It's a different way to operate, for sure.
The idea that that specifically in America and like specifically in the present, we are finding like novel ways to cope with the things, or not cope but interact with the things that have always been.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's valuable to say we need to revolutionize and like stop more knowledge and more information and more social networking, because it's still absurd even if you don't have the viewership. Like it's still an absurd concept to think that there are 7 billion people, even if there were no cameras and we had no way to document it. It's an absurd way for things to exist. It's an absurd world to live in. Like to be one of 7 billion is insane to consider.
like they're like, aren't there like I don't know if it's that insane. There are like 10 ants to every person or something like that. Like the
Oh,
numbers
sure,
really, I don't.
sure.
Yeah, I
But
don't know if the numbers
it's a
are
matter of
like 10 ants.
complexity, right? Like it's a matter of self-awareness. I don't think
Oh
an
no, it
ant
is
knows
like.
how many other ants there are.
Oh yeah, no, like what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? To the extent that I remember there's I'm not sure of it exactly right now, but there's science to show that like the cognitive capability of an entire ant colony is something like that of a higher primate, like something like it. You know what I mean? So it's
But
the idea that yeah,
that's
it's like
group
if you had
intelligence.
I what
That's group intelligence, like social
Yes, no,
intelligence.
what I'm saying it's like if like every ant in an ant colony was an ant colony. That's the nature of the situation, in complexity at least.
Not building skyscrapers, though, are they?
Small ones to them.
Yeah, for sure. Little ant hills. But I do like the microcosm of ants because on a human scale, that's what we are. Like that's what we have. We have these little colonies where we all operate, and we have some hermits that live in like suburbs, but even suburbs, there aren't a lot of people that have a house away from everything. And the people that do are strange. Like, if you have a house in the country that everybody else that's like on the side of a highway, or like not even on the side of a highway, like the back road to the back road that leads to your home is on the
Yeah,
side of a highway or something like that. And
yeah.
like it's some weird ass country back road.
Mm-hmm.
That's an insane way to live because people need social interaction. Not
Oh yeah.
need to live, but need
Well, it depends on
to
like which stage you catch us at, but like especially nowadays, need to function.
yeah, need on some emotional level. Like if you're a sociopath, you can live in the woods, but if you're living in the woods, you might turn into a sociopath.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that people who live not not in rural areas because I mean, especially with the internet,
Yeah.
like I think that I voted for somebody entirely like in an election because they wanted rural broadband.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah. No, we need to get these people information because if they don't have at least a digital interaction with people or like they don't need to leave their home, what percentage of people live in like suburbs or not like outside of cities, do you think? Because I bet it's way greater than you think it is, but not as
Mm,
great as like
like 35%. I don't know, like
yeah,
35%,
that
something
sounds
like
about
that.
right. Of population that lives outside outside the United States, out of major major cities. Yeah, U.S. cities are. Yeah, you were spot on. So 3.5% of the land holds 62.7% of the population. So
Oh wow! So it is like
30
30 something, like
37.3%
like
give
wow.
or take, because I'm sure even the
Yeah,
U.S. Census Bureau doesn't have a hold of everybody that
yeah.
exists.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like there's some dude in a cabin that the U.S. government doesn't know about.
No, definitely. There are probably a couple of those dudes. Like you could definitely disappear if you were sufficiently motivated.
There was a German teacher at our high school that lived in a yurt for a while, which is just like a tent in the woods.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yurts are baller. Yurts are kind
Yeah,
of baller.
they're kind of balling, but you're also a fucking freak if you do that. Like
Oh,
on
you're a
the
freak
low.
for sure, but it's
Like,
a little
what is
baller to
this? Is
not
this
use.
Harry Potter doing? Living in the woods
Oh
in
man.
tents. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
No.
You
No. Yeah.
want to get
Just to not
killed by
need
some
anything.
Ted Bundy motherfucker? I can't
Oh,
feel
for
sorry
sure.
for you if you do.
Oh yeah,
Are
because
you some Ted
definitely.
Bundy motherfucker? Because if you are, I
Why do you
totally
teach German?
understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, I think
That
more so.
on a resume, that'd be weird.
Oh,
I don't know if
lived
I'd
in a yurt
hire
for
somebody
15
who
years.
or what are you, Yertle the turtle? What are you fucking doing, boy?
How do you? I don't think you can get. Do you have? You have to have like a PO box, right? You can't get mail at a yurt.
Yeah, how are you getting your pay stubs? Like, are you picking up the check and depositing it on your ride back to your yurt in the woods?
Do you have a car but not a and a yurt? How does that work? Like, you you put your, oh man, like every night. Imagine if like you got up, you got ready, right, and you packed up your whole yurt and just put it in your trunk. That sounds exhausting to do like every day. You probably wouldn't do it like every day, but to do it like every like
I don't
couple
think the
weeks.
dude owned a car. He like biked everywhere, and he had this like little plastic, not backpack, but like carrying case that he'd bring all his things in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say it's unprofessional because he taught German and he did the job fine. Like he did it better or as well as people who do the job.
Yeah, I just
He's
think
like the head German teacher now.
it's very strange.
Yeah. There are so many the human capacity to do things is so great. And I think that social media has increased people's awareness of the fact that they can do maybe not most things, but more things than they thought they could before. And
Yeah, I would say that like at
a
least you
lot
can
of the
try.
anxiety and depression and stuff that people have is a facet or like a is a reaction, even if it's subconscious or unconscious reaction to the little lizard brain fucking hippocamp or whatever what's the bit at the back
The
of the head,
amygdala.
amygdala. It's just a very yeah, amygdalic response to how like the what's
It's like what's that term? Jeez, I hate it because it rhymes. It's like an analysis paralysis situation, like in that
analysis
human,
paralysis.
like
We were right
yeah.
on the same fucking wavelength. Yo, our chemistry fucking spot on.
But I don't like I
Not opportunity
I don't
cost.
know.
It's
Wait, what'd you say?
it's not opportunity cost because that's like an economics term, but
Mm-hmm.
analysis by paralysis. Let's Google it. Over analyzing. It's so it's not really that. It's because that's over analyzing a situation, but that is
It's
the rough concept. It's
yeah, no, it's the idea that there's so many things to do, you can't choose which thing to do. It's a complexity situation. Hold on, let me.
it's the reason why grocery stores carry like they it a good grocery store only carries like staples because uh the metal ones that you use in a stapler. No, but like they don't have like 800 different kinds of peanut butter because people won't buy any peanut butter if they have to choose.
Yeah.
But um too many options paralysis. Over choice. It's choice overload, yes, is what it's called. It's an
I don't like
unsatisfying.
that term.
Yeah,
But
choice overload, over choice. Um, over choice synonyms, I suppose you could over choice if you want to look for a
Oh yeah,
choice
yeah.
synonym. Yeah, I guess choice overload is not. Yeah, I guess over choice is like the corporate term that people use. Like if you work in advertising or something or
Right.
managing,
Yeah.
then it would be over choice. But yeah, that idea though, because we need more dead air on this. But do you, okay, do you, I guess that's another, if you want to get back into language, do you think that overchoice applies to people who are intelligent with their words? Because I know that a lot of the time when I'm thinking, there's so many words to use. And I think that when you're writing, especially, there's you can revise anything forever, and at a certain point, it won't get any better in the way that people read it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's
I think, well, yeah,
definitely overchoice
I don't know.
applies to language as well,
I
and
don't know
that's
how much
something.
it does, especially like, well, like, cause what am I trying to say? What
If
am I
there are
trying to say?
80 different
Depending on
ways
how
to
like,
say something,
yeah, no, but depending on how like, cause like verbal fluency is a thing, right? So I guess the oh Jeez.
that clearly we don't have.
No, no. Okay, so I'm saying
bit.
like there's like a relationship between like IQ and like verbal fluency, right? So like like to a certain extent, the smarter you are, the better you will be at articulating the things that you think, right? And so I suppose
unless you think at a level higher than your capacity to speak.
Well, I mean that's to the extent that language is a way to compress reality, and reality is more complex than you can understand, right? Like obviously at a certain point you'll be at like a loss for words, as it were, but I don't think that's an overchoice problem necessarily. I think it's I don't think it's an overchoice problem necessarily. I think it's a not knowing enough words problem. In fact, I think it's the opposite. I think it's a word scarcity problem.
It can be a word scarcity problem, but I think it's like overchoice means the feeble human mind in the capacity of memory, at least, because I mean people are good at a lot of things. Remembering things is not one of them. Like mythologizing them is
information. No,
like remembering raw data is not something that people do well.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's
I've still memorized a dumb number of digits of pi because one time there was this magazine on a T-shirt like that came in a catalog in the mail. And so I was reading, like I took a magnifying glass and looked at the fucking digits of pi until and like was repeating them until I could remember enough. But it was also because I wanted to learn, because there was this one dude named Terrence, this one, who played chess and shit, and I wanted to impress him because he seemed real smart to me.
I've never interacted with him.
Never interacted with him since. But I feel like I just wanted to impress a boy is what I'm trying to say.
He was in our class. Like our
Oh yeah, he never said a word.
Never said a word. A goddamn word, yes. Oh man. That was a funny class. Oh no, but I don't know. At least in the microcosm of me, when I'm struggling for a word, it's because I'm thinking of all the words I know, and none of them are, or at least can recall, and none of them are satisfactory, I suppose.
And that's a limitation of language as well, some capacity.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it's definitely a limitation of language, but I don't think. Yeah, I think. Yeah, no, I still think having the largest possible number of words is still the ideal situation for your language.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree that that it doesn't make sense to remove words, especially because once you get into the process of removing words, like who the fuck is making those decisions? You know?
Yeah, no, there's no like. I guess you could do it after the fact after the fact in like a standardized dictionary kind of way, similar to how they've got they've got a standard kilogram somewhere, like it's a sphere of silicon, and that exists physically somewhere, right? So I suppose in that, they modify the dictionary, they add words and whatnot, but I think subtracting words is a useless thing to do. Like it's you're
like it'll happen organically. I mean, no, I don't think there's ever going to be a point at which I think it's going to be harder and harder for words to die now.
Definitely. And yeah, no, especially
but also art and music sort of exist to preserve music, like because there's a lot of words that you wouldn't use in everyday conversation because they don't really have any use, but the use of them in like other mediums such as song, or like a situation where it might be impressive that you're verbose, or you have a large vocabulary, or you got those rare words that you can only find, like you got to open like 100 Pokemon card packs to find that word, like those words they take on a new meaning that's greater than their own meaning as a word. The meaning is like
less.
Not that I'm going to define meaning for everybody, but like there's a certain poetry to those rare words.
Like it's they're like, it's not necessarily about the efficiency in describing what you like as someone who's like let's say like you wrote a sentence and you included one of these rare words. It's not about like how efficiently you can like project an image into someone's mind based on what you're trying to communicate. It's about like the what am I trying to say? The character or the commitment to the sentence of you, the writer, as it were.
I think that cliches are actually a really good way to communicate. Like as over people, a lot of like English teachers don't like cliches because they say like cliches are somebody else's words. But if you want to get into like the philosophical like use of cliches, they exist because they were words that were so good enough that they were preserved in the human consciousness for some reason.
Yeah,
Like
like they're like
these are terms that are so
phrases.
universal or so fluid and or I don't know if it's I don't know if they're just I'm sure it depends on the individual example, but like some words are fluid and some have such a strong meaning or like a strong such a strong interpretability that they are sustained, especially if they rhyme.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, no, they're like archetypal phrases. They're phrases that can be used to describe the human experience at all times, or
I
something.
got this. Or at least the best way that humans as a collective consciousness have found to describe a particular phenomenon. Oh, let's get back to ego
Yeah,
death because I didn't really break it down too much. Ego death is one of those cliches. I don't think it's valuable because I think when a lot of people say ego death, they mean like I mean ego death isn't valuable. It is. It's supposedly it's not well defined is the problem because it when people say ego death, I think it's supposed to mean dissolution of the self,
yeah,
but dissolution of the self is not always great, and you don't want to be because that's called dissociative personality disorder. Like having no sense of self, having no sense of who you are, what you do, like
mm-hmm.
having like being completely detached and being a golem through which the universe flows, which I have felt like at times. But at no point have I gone, I am everything and everyone is part of me, because that's not how things work. But a little bit of me is part of everyone, and a little bit of everyone is part, or everyone I've interacted with is part of me, because you can't. It's hard to quantify the impressions that other people leave on you. Like there's so much. Like if you go outside, or even if you don't, like everything you do changes you biochemically and it leaves like a legacy on who you are and what future. Like the present change, like it's not that profound to say the present changes the future. That's the reason why time travel is so dicey, is because there's so many different factors that go into what happens in the future, and every single one of them affects it enough to change the outcome.
Yeah, hmm.
But ego, right? Like ego death. When a lot of
Yeah.
people say when they mean ego death, is they're like, I realized, like, I just felt like in love with everyone, in love with the universe. I felt like
No, I
I
think
was
that's
a
a
real
stupid
nice
definition.
guy or something. But
Yeah, no,
or like I
yeah,
left my body and I was like I escaped the mortal coil. Like I didn't shuffle off, but like I did for a little bit, I guess you could say. I you know,
I feel like ego death is a bad term for that. Yeah,
it
I
is
don't.
a bad term. It's not that descriptive, and it sounds super egotistical. A lot of people use it
Yeah,
in
no,
an egotistical
like
way too, which is why
I
I
guess.
will never say it even if I experience a phenomenon which I would term ego death.
Oh yeah, no, I think I don't know. I feel like there would even be a more accurate term to put on that. Like I don't even know. Like based on like in the idea of like the dissolution of the.
I think that it's the
Like,
part of the problem with it is that ego has so many different connotations, like at least two major ones. If you mean ego is in the Freudian like ego in the id, which is what I think they refer to, or like some people refer to when they say ego death, that might be the
yeah,
case.
like
But ego death,
yeah,
as in like ego, as in being egotistical, like being really full of yourself,
yeah, like
that's a
yeah,
completely
yeah, yeah,
different thing.
like yeah, like I don't like To the extent that, like, I like
Because
the
again,
term I don't even know if I love the term disillusion of the self, right? Like, I mean, I suppose if one considers,
I
like,
mean,
you
like I
know,
said,
like,
if you have that, you're mentally disabled. Like, in that it's not objectively like a bad thing, but you can't interact with other people. And there are fundamental building blocks in your brain that make you need to interact with other people. Like if you if you don't have some sense of attachment to your body and to the world, like that's dissociation. You're not functional if you're dissociated. Like you need like people are
yeah,
committed for that.
yeah,
But
no,
again,
but
there's probably a spectrum, I guess, of dissociation. It might be fine to say like, I mean, in a not a reductionist way, like to say like, who am I to do anything,
I mean, I
whatever.
think that's kind of harmful depending on the scale of
It
it.
can be harmful, but then it's not harmful to consider all possibility.
Yeah, no.
It's
Yeah,
harmful.
yeah.
The
No,
action is
definitely.
more
No.
harmful than.
I've def oh yeah. But I've been in arguments though where someone's like, "Who are we to make a call at this time?" I'm like, "We're people, god damn it. Don't pretend like you don't have any agency." But then sometimes people are like, "Who are you to do that?" And like, "I'm me who's better than you." So I suppose it's all
Yeah,
kind of
like
relative.
who is anyone to do anything? Just do, okay? Like,
Yeah,
like
like yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
who am I to walk 9 miles, paint a wall, and then go back 2 days later and paint over it again? Holla, that's what I'm about to do today. But wait, no, I'm probably not because somebody's coming over. But I'll do that soon. I'll do that soon. I'm gonna revisit it. I think I'm gonna take a. I stole one of the sponges that I bought finally because I've been toilet paper and cleaning the house, and it's the least that he can do is give me a sponge to use as a paintbrush.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So we also have like
Yeah.
a multi-pack. It's 15 pack of sponges, so probably won't
Oh,
miss
that's
it.
a
Although it was the last sponge after we got a fresh sponge. Like we have a fresh sponge right now, but
Yeah.
I'm taking the last one that was in the drawer. So I'll probably buy more. I'll probably buy more because I'm a good guy. I don't have ego death, and I have some awareness that other people would like me to buy that sponge, and I would like to have sponges in the future. But right now, I don't want to go to the store to buy sponges. That's all I'm saying. I'm not a regular SpongeBob out here buying sponges down by the Target.
I I I'm still thinking about. I'm still trying to come up with a proper term for ego death. Because, well, I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know if I even vibe fully with the concept of or with the phrase like a disillusion of the self. Because I suppose if you like, depending on it depends on the context which you mean it, obviously, right? But like when I think of like the disillusion of the self, I think of what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? I think of like the world and society as like the solvent and you as the solute, right? And the idea that you are like being dissolved in the world slash society in that like I think of it as an effective loss of agency in controlling one's action. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that might be
yeah.
that yeah, you know what I'm trying to say? And I
I
feel
think
like
it's
that's
good if you
terrible.
say like, if you melt it down and then you're like you lose not your identity, but like you lose or you're like aware of what has led you to your identity in its current state. You're like, what factors have compelled me to be where I am now? What
Yeah,
can
the
I
idea that
change
you
to
can
be
be
what I want to be in the future? But
yeah,
the
the idea that you
I,
can
like,
be your
this is it is good to think like, why do things hurt people? But like why, like how does this action hurt other people? Like in a sort of like not a sociopath, well, I guess sociopathic, not a psychopathic, but a sociopathic way to be like to like take yourself out of it and be like, so like
Mhm.
how does this action hurt other people objectively, and why is that a bad thing? And then like choose, like pick and choose what you do. But I think
Yeah.
my problem is I can do that because I know that I'm a good person fundamentally. Like I'm a good dude to me. So what I mean, I guess I don't know. I wouldn't even say good, but like I'm a dude that I can live with. Like uh and that's as good as they come. You just want to be a person
That's
you
right.
can live with because I don't know. There's so much to this conversation. I'm kind of getting lost in it, but
No, yeah, no, but I don't know. Geez. Oh, but
melted
related
down and
to
reforged that shit.
ish, yeah, definitely. Like it's super to the extent that you can't really own something like when I think about like devices and whatnot, like I'm really into like open source technology and whatnot, just because I feel like if I can't modify something like very thoroughly, like to the bottom, then it's not mine. I don't really own it. I'm just using it, right? And so
Oh,
you want to
phones are
be
open
an
source
owner.
technology, basically. Like, I think that's something really interesting and deeply personal that nobody talks about. Like,
The
just the
yes,
apps on your phone and the way you use it.
oh, kind of. Well, I've kind of,
Like,
kind of.
do you use folders? Do you like,
Sometimes.
yeah, I mean, like, but like, do you have 87 pages of apps and shit? Do you, when you want to find an app, do you actually use your home screen or do you like go into like the app thing at the bot? Like, I have an Android. I think you do too, right?
Yes.
Do you go into like the apps section of your phone and like scroll through the apps to see what you were looking for? Like,
Half the time.
yeah, no,
I keep my frequent rotation on my home screen, and then if I'm looking for something.
me too, me too. Because I feel like I would judge somebody a lot based on the way that they organize their phone structure.
Oh no,
But at the
true, true,
same
true.
time, I don't really think about the way I organize my structure. Like, it's not something I come back to. Like, I'm not always like, how can I make this better? But I just do sometimes because I get annoyed with.
Yeah. I yeah. Oh, but what I was gonna say about like the open source thing is that you should like your relationship to you like you should be open source to you, like you should be aware of all the like you said, like the motivations for your actions and where you picked up the disparate elements that you like amalgamated into your current personality, because if you I feel like it's irresponsible not to, in that if you don't understand why you do things, then if you don't understand why you do things and how can you manipulate like the frequency with which you do various things, right? Like, if you don't know you're like everything you do is a surprise essentially, or some degree of surprising. Something.
Yeah, and I think again that's where like the idea of mythologization of the self is becomes valuable because you want not to have fundamental principles because I think a lot of the way that people operate who have principles is not based on those principles, but it's
Well, if they don't operate based on the principles, are they really principled people?
I don't here's the thing, I don't think principled people exist. I think
I don't know if that's true. I
well,
don't know if I
here's the
agree.
thing, right? Like
Yeah.
Gandhi, right? He slept with his nieces like while naked because he had like this whole thing where he's like, "Oh no, it's all about abstinence." Like I'm like, "Well, you don't need to prove it to me. I would believe you if you weren't doing a whole thing about it, but the fact that you're like sleeping naked to be like, "Look, man, I'm not even getting hard." Like that seems real funny to me. But
Well,
like
it's definitely funny, but
it
like
seems like
you
it's
know,
not
I'm not
like your
Gandhi. I guess
principle
like I'm
is
not
what
Gandhi.
once you have principles you can't be a hypocrite until you have principles is the thing.
Yeah.
But so
So
in that you should try and hold yourself to a standard so that you can catch yourself if you're lacking. It makes sense to have principles.
yeah, I would and I would define being principled as
But you should allow those like one of your principles should be I am going to allow my principles to change should I genuinely be convinced. Like you should
yeah,
be open to change,
yeah,
but
no,
not
I think
but not a sponge at the same time, you know.
yeah, like having no, I think but like having a what am I trying to say? To the extent that being a principled human is having like a what am I trying to say? Like an adaptable yet pseudo concrete structure that you operate within. You know what I mean? Like you're playing a game, right? That game has rules. Those rules are subject to change, but until they do, you'll play by those rules to the best of your ability. I feel like that's not. I feel like that's real. I feel like
Yeah.
that's super real.
Oh goddamn, son, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, that's a good place to end for today, I guess, because
Oh, it definitely.
oh,
Yeah.
well, okay, you're back. You're back.
Oh, was that? Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I thought you cut out again completely. And I'm
Oh, no.
terrified. One of my principles is that I'm terrified of corrupt files. But I gotta wrap soon anyways because
I was gonna say I gotta go to school and shit.
This was a real fun one, man. And not like a silly one, but it was a fun one to get into, and I did a lot of talking.
Oh yeah, no, I did a lot of thinking.
Yeah, I think I like when that's the case. I mean, in the reverse situation, because I like thinking about ideas that I don't really have going on the back burner. Like I like being able to consider them, but Pirates of a very exhausted paradise.
Oh yeah, no, this is a sleepy paradise. This is Quara'e. It's been real.
It's not sleepy. It's oh boy, straight up exhausting. I might take a nap, listen to the first half of the podcast, take another nap, listen to the second half, take a nap, think about it, post a comment.
You know what? That's what everyone should do. That's what you should do if you listen to this podcast.
We have to sing the outro song. I've been hearing storms.
All right.
Oh fuck! Wrong one.
Oh
Happens
no.
too often.
Goodbye.
Shit! Wrong one again.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Blue Apron.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Blue Balls.
I feel